So, being a performance coach, you're clearly extremely productive, very disciplined. Why do you think you're the type of person that is that productive and disciplined?
Um, I probably didn't have a choice, if I'm being honest, and that sort of accountability usually kind of gets you to put your foot on the gas. I would say I'm forced to it.
Okay. So your background, what you're brought up in East London, Turkish heritage.
Yeah.
Why? What did that identity bring you?
Okay. So basically, like kind of referring back to your first question, I was raised in an area, let's just say not so privileged area. Um, so therefore, that's why I said almost had to force those things that you mentioned initially if I wanted to have some any level of success, right? And growing up in those areas, if you do want to get out of there, if you do want the amazing things that you see on TV, on social media, I guess social media then wasn't as big, obviously, um, but wanted to be like uh, the footballers you admired to live like the footballers you admired, because I used to play football, and my goal was always to be able to have a life that has a level of freedom that I did not have when I was younger. I wasn't very good at school, so I had to find a kind of a different way to do that.
Are you grateful for that? Are you grateful for what you were growing
Yeah.
up like?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's like look, there's a lot of luck when it comes to this sort of stuff, right? Uh and the luck is you don't know where you're going to be born, you don't know who you're going to be born into, and this kind of does play a bit of a role in your future, I could have an advantage in some ways, I could be disadvantaged in other ways. And in my case, I I'm grateful for everything, and I also know it wouldn't have happened any other way. So I wouldn't even dwell on even thinking about that. I mean, there's times where things go shit, and you do question things. Oh man, I wish it was this. I wish it was that. I wish it ended up like this. But the truth is, if you are grateful for all the things that you have, I just think it's a way more positive way to live, and doors will open for you to have a better life, instead of a negative outlook into every small little thing. I mean, you know what it's like when you talk to negative people. Everything's a problem. They can have the perfect life. Everything's a problem. And I do my best, even on, like, I guess the darkest days, I try to find some form of light to be able to um, keep thriving the best way I can, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's also just people. I suppose people that are brought up in privilege will find very small things to be angry about or upset about, and there's going to be a limit to how grateful you can be for something simple, a cup of coffee or something like that. But if you don't come from privilege, and you're going to be grateful for everything that comes your way, I suppose. And I think you've mentioned in an Instagram post about how to focus more on the simple things. You wanted to focus more on the simple things this year,
Yeah.
and it's true. It's just you're going to be way more grateful and appreciative of life if it's the simple things you're focused on rather than the big material things, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I fucking love all that shit as well. Like,
Yeah,
I want a nice car. I like wearing nice trainers. I like to dress good. Um, but it's more so. It's when you're thriving at any level of greatness, right? Whether that's business, personal growth, business growth, um, athletic growth, uh, anything. Um, it's hard to enjoy simple things and enjoy the moment. I think if you are that mentality, you're constantly thriving for more and better, right? So, which is why this year I kind of even did that post to kind of almost hold myself accountable to be like, you know what? I'm going to do my absolute best to enjoy the simple things, all the simple things that Diren 10 years ago or younger Diren, going to school in East London and college in Hackney. would look forward and go, "Are you fucking joking, mate? You're living the best life," you know. So I'm doing my best to do that. Not gonna lie, it's definitely not easy. Like yeah, I have to remind myself that, you know, or my missus reminds me, and when I'm spending time with my son, you know, it I'm almost held a little bit more accountable now, and to enjoy the simple things, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it because that is in my core values and upbringing, you know, to really appreciate the simple things, you know.
Hmm. What's the biggest struggle you've overcome?
The biggest struggle I've overcome, the biggest struggle I've overcome, there's, I guess there's multiple things that have happened from a personal growth perspective. And I'm not going to lie, it's a hard question to answer because I personally hate to see myself as a fucking victim, you know? So, like, my struggles is not, I'm not living somewhere where I'm getting bombed. I'm not living somewhere where if I don't work hard, I don't get my returns, you know? So it's really hard for me to answer that because, yeah, I've had personal struggles. Like mentally, I've overcome a lot of things. I don't know, I've overcome being raised in a shitty area, walking down the street and not making sure you're not getting robbed or beat up or swerving uh, your way through, I don't know, gang members uh, or not making it as a footballer, going to every football trial and coaches saying no to you, or being signed to a football team and waiting on the bench for years and nothing to come, or attempting multiple business and multiple business ideas, taking action on them and constantly failing at them. I think they all have its struggle, but I honestly, although I don't see myself as being born into privilege, but I feel like I have some form of privilege because I feel like I've been brought up by a good family, a very good mum and dad that have taught me um, to have this mentality, you know. So it's a real hard one to answer. I'm not gonna lie. If you ask me now, I'm struggling with uh, attempting different businesses. I'm struggling with trying to manage life, my personal life, my relationship with my missus, my relationship with my son, making sure I'm still thriving, making sure I'm still providing the promises I've made to my customers, people that work with me, paying salaries. You know, there's always stress and struggle, and I think it's just really important for individuals to not to to look back, and I think you can stop and look back and reflect on those moments, right? But I think if you start dwelling on those struggles so much, I think it's just gonna stop you from doing the things that you have to do. You know, like any struggle, any failure, you look and you learn from them, right? If you don't look back and you don't learn from them, now you're choosing to do that same thing again. But if I just stop and think about my struggles all the time, me personally, I'm gonna find it very difficult um, to move forward. And I think it's a common mistake a lot of people do. I mean, even if you ask me now, like I would say I don't even think I'm successful. Like, you know, like I would say like I don't think I've done anything amazing. I think I've helped loads of people. I think I've helped thousands of people with their health and fitness, but like I don't think I've done anything mind blowing. You know, so it's a weird. It's actually really hard to explain. If I'm being personally honest, yeah, it's really hard. And anyone that has a very like, I went through this, I went through that, I went through this, I went through that. I always question it. I'm like, did you really? I know maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. I'm like, is that just a story, or was that actually a struggle? Because I know the things that I really, really, really struggle with. I ain't posting on Instagram. I'm chatting to my mum and dad about it. You know, so it's a mix. It's a mix. I think it's important to share your story, but I think it's again, even just acknowledging and appreciating the struggles. You know.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between acknowledging what you've went through, the struggles that you go through, but also taking responsibility for what you can control and not using what you've been through as a reason not to, I don't know, work hard or chase something big or ambitious.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, majority of people that went through any level of struggle, or they tend to be more resilient. I mean, I see myself as bulletproof because I've just been so. I've heard the word no so many times. It doesn't affect me anymore. Like, oh, okay, next, So like, and that was something that kind of actually like playing football and not getting through trials, and like even when I did get into teams and all those moments like where I cared so much about something didn't actually work out really well for me. So now, although I have a lot of care for what I do, uh, I don't think about it too much. I just crack on and have fun with it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, whatever.
Is that how you view failure then? If you fail at something, then you're viewing it in that sort of light.
Yeah, now for sure, for sure, for sure. If I do dwell on something, it's usually because I've probably let someone that's close to me down, a good friend or a family member, someone that I love. If I'll get down if I let them down, you know. But if it's about me, if it's about my business, if it's about my social media or social presence, whatever, man, who cares,
Mm,
you know?
yeah. You said on an Instagram post, progress isn't loud when you're living it, but it's obvious when you look back. What do
Yeah,
you mean by that?
I mean, yeah, it's it kind of goes back to kind of what I mentioned about like when you are in it, it is really, really difficult to stop and look and realize what has happened because you're so like driven to move forward or you want to improve every single thing, right? So again, a lot of the posts I do, yeah, it's to help people. It's also to remind myself,
Yeah.
I'm probably like projecting. I'm probably projecting how I feel. So that was kind of a message for me when I did stop. When I had a bad day, I was like, let me take a little scroll through my um photos, and then I kind of looked at moments where I was like, oh shit, I have done quite a bit actually, and and it's because I I don't like I'm not very good personally. I'm not very good at making a small thing sound absolutely amazing, right? So what I mean by that is if you look on social media, a lot of people will blow up a very small thing, right? Like I don't know, they'll do a marathon, right? And they'll talk about the marathon like they like it was war, like they went through war, right? Or like they went through such a struggle, and it 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 meant so much to them, and it's fine if it does, but I'm not good at making something that I think is doable and average blow up, whereas some people are so good at even making taking their dog for a walk sound like it was a crazy achievement. Again, that's no offense to anyone. Like I know I could do that as well. My profile is probably not as big as it could be because I probably don't do that. you know, but um that's what I mean by that, So uh I would like to think no, I'd like to think everyone has achieved some form of greatness, and I think it's important for everyone to stop, just take a look back and appreciate, give themselves a tap in the back again, whatever it is, to help them move forward. And I think it's important when there is progress happening and when there is any level of success, I think it's quite important, and it's something definitely I've learned over the last few years, is to actually just keep your mouth shut and just be cool and just continue, be calm and relaxed, even when things are going great or even when things are going shit. I think it's important to stay composed and keep your mouth shut. I think that's what I've learned.
What
Sure.
would so you mentioned that you don't see what you've done as amazing. What would you have to have done to
Mm.
do some? What would you have to do for it to be amazing? Because I
Look,
think it is.
yeah, okay. I think I appreciate it, by the way. Thank you. I, I think I think for me, like honestly, the true meaning of like life or success is I think it's being a good dad and being a good parent, personally, right? That to me is very important. And to me, building a family and having a family is, for me, the most important thing ever, you know? And in that way, I feel very successful. And in that way, we're still a new journey, right? In that way, I feel very successful. And everything else around that is a topping, you know? Topping of, like, you know, so it's like the cherry on top for me. And I've got big goals where I want to build my profile. I still want to help thousands of people with their health and fitness. I potentially might even move into helping young men at some point, you know, whether it's training mentality, having being an honorable man, you know, like, because, you know, this next generation is a bit, it's questionable, you know. So and I think it's important for those individuals to have like a good role model. And I feel like I am a good one for my little cousins, my nephews, my son. And I think success for me would be passing on whatever I've learned to as many people as possible. And I don't think I've done that yet.
Okay.
I
What do
don't
you
know.
think young?
Go
Sorry,
on,
what do
sorry.
you think young men need to hear more of?
I think just being a good human, you know, like I know it sounds very basic, but like,
Yeah,
it's not small things like not talking to your mum like shit, like small things, like knowing how to talk to people, giving eye contact when you speak to someone, train, be fit and healthy. You've been given a body, utilize it, be fit and healthy so you can be mentally, to provide like positivity to the people around you as well as the universe. You know what I mean? And I think that makes a huge impact. And if you look at any sporting environment or any environment where there's some level of addictiveness to discipline, it's usually a healthy environment to thrive, you know? And I think with everything becoming just a lot easier in the world, from being able to, well, this has been around for years, but like being able to order anything you need to your house, to just sitting at a desk and using ChatGPT to do your essays, you know. And
yeah,
I'm not saying I wasn't the smartest in school, but I took a lot of time to talk and listen to people. That's what I was good at. And through that, I learned a lot of people skills that have helped me to be able to coach people well, and more importantly, to actually understand people well. And I think we just don't understand each other as well as we probably did, because no one really talks to each other.
yeah. I think also just the fact that the world's easier than it's ever been, and there's so much we can do. It feels like it's never been easier to build something, to chase some sort of ambition, because if everyone else is, I don't know, sitting on the couch ordering food, then is it not easier then to
It is
start something?
easier. It is easier, but then some people need a reality check, you know? Some people should be told, like, no, you can't do that, mate. No, you can't do that. And I'll tell you why. Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm not saying you can't achieve anything, right? I'm not saying you can't achieve anything. You can achieve anything you put your mind to. 100%. Fully believe that. I fully believe that. But don't you think there's too much of that, almost that positivity too early in any journey, where, I mean, people are getting medals just for participating in something, right? Again, if that's how you want to raise your kid, that is completely fine. I'm not going to do that, personally. I'm not going to do that. I want my kid to learn that, look, you did well. What if it says it's a sports day? Look, you did well. I'm proud of you for doing that. but you didn't get a medal because you didn't work as hard as that other person. You know, that's the angle I'm talking about. And I feel like anyone that is thriving to be an entrepreneur, to be a life coach or whatever, right? I feel like there needs to be an element of struggle they need to go through. Like, you know, the struggles I said I'm talking about, I'm going through business struggles. Like I'm going through challenges all the time. And I feel like I have to go through them to be able to succeed in the long run. And I think anyone that is attempting to have any level of greatness with this next generation, I feel like they're getting the wins almost too easy early on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. I don't want to sound like a dick here. I really want the best for everyone, you know. But
yeah,
it's just it's everyone's getting praised for nothing, and I think it's weird.
I think also just social media is kind of showing the younger generation that you can be successful with doing something like social media influencing, something that's relatively easy. And the problem with that is it's also not sustainable if that's your sole goal, is just to be famous or something like that on social media. It'll take, if you want something that's sustainable and that you can do for a decade, then it's going to take years to do that. And
Yeah,
so like I use this podcast as like a good example. I've been doing it 2 years. I'm not expecting it to get anywhere close to successful for another year at least. And that's just because I know to build something sustainable, which is doing this podcast for decades, I'm going to have to put in a lot of years of hard work before anything happens.
100%. And you're going to have challenges. You're going to figure out, oh, what can I do that's different, that's not been done before? Why isn't this getting views? Is it the guest, or is it my structure? Is it this? Is it that? You know, these are all question marks you ask yourself, and then you like improve from there. Like the whole influencing thing, when you think about it, like, what have influencers done? You know, what have they done? Now, if someone calls me an influencer, I don't get offended, but I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, I'm a coach that's had like a form of success with helping people, and my following is there because I like to think I give value on my pages instead of just posting a picture with my shirt off or having my ass hanging out. Or, you know, like, it sounds mad, but like, even if you've got a page where it's just about fashion and you're teaching people how to dress well, and like your page is like, I teach men in their 40s how to dress well for work. Like, you're giving some form of value, right? But if you've just jumped on Love Island and you're just, you know, what value are you bringing, you know? Again, no offense to people jumping on Love Island. I've actually got loads of friends that have did it, but like I just think it's important for anyone with any form of influence should bring a form of value, even if it's laughter, man. If you bring joy, you know, that's great. But then if you just rely on your looks for stuff, I just think, I don't know, I just wouldn't want my son like that personally.
Yeah, I think like the social media following should be secondary to what your primary goal is, and it puts me in mind of some like Michael Jordan. I think he was maybe being criticized for or I can't remember what it was, but his response to this question was about his clothing brand and Air Jordan and stuff like that. And his point was, there's no Air Jordan without his playing. So the playing's his primary goal. Like to be an amazing basketball player, he would not have Air Jordan without him being arguably the best basketball player of all time. And so the social media influence is almost the same thing. Like your social media following is secondary to your primary goal. It's just like a byproduct of it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't open my mouth on social media about trading until about 7 years into PTing on the gym floor. And through that, I was successful as a personal trainer on the gym floor, but I also knew I was very successful because I knew how to communicate well with people. And that helped me learn loads about business, about psychology, about what to say and what to do to get people to take action. So before I opened my mouth on social media, I really worked hard on my craft before opening my mouth on social media, you know? And now you're getting just I don't know. I guess you're just getting kids that just want to be streamers, and it's just, yeah, but streaming for what? Like, they look at Speed and want to be like Speed, but like, you look at someone like Speed. Speed's a streamer, but he's a unique character, which is why I think he does well. You know, so it's not just, I don't know, and I think it's just, I think it's important for individuals to learn, educate themselves, and really do their best to find something that they love, you know, instead of just, I'll start streaming, I think it will be good, you know? Like, you much prefer like a younger teenager doing their absolute best to make it as a musician, you know? Something creative, something that's going to require talent, something that you need to really work for to achieve something like amazing, you know? Then you can use social media to, you know, get signed by a record label or use it to get a gig or what it is. And even if you made 100 quid from getting a gig from singing on your social media, that is going to be that's going to fill your cup more than anything, you know? And I think that feeling, like when I got my first online client, like online personal training client, I was like, no fucking way. I was like, I just made like £300 from this package I sold online. I couldn't believe it. And still to this day, even if I bring a lot more revenue than that now, that feeling doesn't hit like that first time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and I think people need to like really chase that feeling, I think, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're starting something, you've got on one end that you don't want to start something that's just like fleeting or unsustainable, but you also don't want to go on the other extreme and never start at all because you don't think that you've got anything to give. And so it's somewhere in the middle. You've got to find, I think it's just make sure that your primary goal is something like deep and fundamental rather than something like fame or money or something like that. Your primary goal should be something helping people or something like that. And then if you figured that stuff out, then just start. And it's not going to be perfect and you're probably going to suck at whatever you're doing at the start, but
100%.
You got to start. And I think go on.
Sorry, go. No, go on.
I was just going to say the difference between people who make it and people who don't. I literally was speaking in the last interview about this. It's the people that start. It's that simple. You just got to start and then just keep going. It's either you keep going and you stop and then you're never going to make it, or you go, you start, and you just keep fucking doing it for years.
Mate, you literally can't stop. I've been self-employed since I was 19. I'm now 33, and I'd like to think I have some form of success in business and I know how to do things, and I'm still nowhere near a level of greatness in business, you know, and I'm learning loads every single day, you know. And like I said, I wouldn't want anyone to think that they shouldn't do anything, but I think when they start, they need to have the right people around them to give them the criticism they need, as well as support and help. I think that's really important. You know, the truth is, if you're surrounded by losers and people are choosing to be losers, it's going to be very hard for you to, you know, achieve anything. I think your environment is essential. Makes a huge difference. I think it makes a huge difference on who you surround yourself with, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're the average of your friends, so you want to make sure you're picking the right friends.
Exactly. You want to pick the right friends. You need to learn how to say bye to your friends. You need to learn how to not meet with people, disconnect from certain people, individuals. You need to know how to take your own journey. You need to know when to call for help. You need to know when to do things on your own. And that's all just part of the journey, you know? And it's not easy, but it's fun, man. It's like, look, having those problems itself is a privilege, you know? And waking up to nothing is way worse.
Yeah.
It's just way worse, like way worse.
Yeah. I think also people maybe question when things are going when they're going through difficult times, they kind of question their own self-worth and whether or not it should be difficult for them. But I mean, if you're going through something difficult, that's how it's supposed to go. That's how it's supposed to feel. That's like there's kind of like relief in that. Like, oh, this is supposed to feel like this, so fucking let's just get going then.
100%. I mean, if you speak to anyone really successful, they'll always feel like their self-worth is like, I mean, if you look at the really, really, really successful people, they think they're fucking nothing. You know, they think they're not good enough in anything, you know. I mean, a lot of them are not even loved, you know.
Yeah.
So I like it's a weird thing where it's like me being raised in those areas I was raised in is like definitely put a chip on my shoulder, and it's been an advantage in some ways, but a disadvantage in others, you know. So, and you just gotta keep going, and I think you gotta be really self-aware. I think that's really important, you know. You gotta be really self-aware and go like, am I good enough to do this? Am I not? Should I go for it? Let me go for it. Let me read what happened in that situation. Maybe that was too soon, you know? And I think that's the hardest thing for people. They don't actually know that. And I found that, and I feel like I was good at that, and I feel like I'm still improving, is because I actually just spoke to a lot of successful people. Like all my personal training clients, like I was charging $120 a session in Australia. And I had like CEOs, guys in charge of hedge funds that are just juggling with millions of dollars, you know, older guys. I'm talking 60, 70 years old. You know, I'm chatting to them on a seated chest press, and they're talking to me, and I'm listening to how they are and their mentality with deals that they do, people they talk to, and how they're listening to me. There's moments where like I've got a guy sitting in front of me, he's worth $200 million, and he's listening to me. He's learning from me. And I'm thinking, this guy is like, he could buy the whole of my dad's village in Turkey, and he's still learning. You know, it's really weird. And I think talking to those people, you really do learn a lot, you know. And I think that's what people got to do a lot. Communicate. I just think it's the most important skill ever, communication.
Yeah, and I think it also just shows. I mean, if these people are unhappy and they've got 200 million in the bank, it's like it just shows you money isn't the answer. I mean, it will make your life better, but you need something more fundamental to aim at rather than money.
100%. I think that's why family is very important. Having kids, and I think so. I think for that reason, I think it's very important. I think so.
I've been thinking about this idea. Well, I've tried to come up with this idea. It's called the freedom fallacy. Do you mind if I read you it and just get your take on it?
Yeah, go.
Right. So it's the idea that we postpone freedom and peace until some future point in our lives when we're more successful, have more money, or more control over our time. We tell ourselves, once I've built this life, then I'll be free. But the fallacy is trying to experience the peace of life you haven't built yet, while still living in the struggle phase required to build it. So you end up stuck between two voices, one telling you to push harder and the other telling you to enjoy life now. The problem isn't working hard towards freedom, it's believing your current life doesn't count until you arrive. And that's where people burn out or end up regretting the years they spent only striving and never really living.
I think I get it. And I think that's why it's really important that you enjoy what you're doing. You know, that's what that tells me, right? If you're enjoying whatever you're creating, it's not going to feel that bad. You're going to have hard moments, but at least you're going to enjoy the journey, you know? And I think it's really important to enjoy the journey, whatever journey that is, you know? And it's weird. We are like, for example, like my family come from a village in Turkey, right? You know, they're completely free. They've got their own crops. They're in the mountains, organic food, animals, great weather. You know, very cheap. Like you could live very cheap. You don't even really need to make money. You can just eat what you grow, you know? And like, they come to the West for a better life. They go into city life for work in Istanbul. Then they come here for a better life for the kids, for education and this. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful forever. And then even though I've created some level of freedom for myself, like working from home or doing kind of whatever I want to do, I run my own business. I pretty much get on a flight tonight, go anywhere I need to go, you know? And I'm still battling for that freedom that I probably already have. you know? So it's a weird cycle. You're battling for that thing that you kind of already have, which is why it's really important to have a journey that you enjoy, that you like to create, and some level of purpose, so you don't feel like that. You know, and sometimes that takes really long to find, I think. And even though when you do find it, you grow and you change. You know, so I think it's important to find it, grow from it, accept it, then find another one. But it's really important, I think, that you do your best to like enjoy while you're doing that, or it is pointless. You know, I think a lot of people, what you just said there, I think a lot of people feel like that in the corporate world, I think. You know, and that is, I'm not saying the corporate world is dying, but like obviously now with the more space with like online work and this and that, it's becoming I think there's less of that from the corporate world, but there's still a lot of people stuck in that mentality and find it very hard to get out, you know, because they feel like they need to be that way or in a certain way, because again, they are surrounded by those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other world around it. And then when they do have some level of freedom, or they do a year trip, or they travel solo, or they go to Bali for 8 weeks, and they go, holy fucking shit, I feel amazing there. They were so trapped, they didn't even realize, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's definitely one to think about for sure, you know? It's definitely one to think about for sure, which is why I think whatever journey you're going on, I think it's really important to start as early as possible. I'm lucky. My dad put me. I've been playing football since under. I haven't played in years now, but under 6s, my dad put me into football, which put me into sport, which put me into health and fitness, right? And because of that, I knew kind of what I wanted to do initially, and became self-employed at 19, right? So I started quite early, and I've been working on that since. So the earlier you start, the less risk there is, because as you do grow older, you do become, your luxuries get more, your way of living gets more from the jobs you have, you know. You want to go to your fucking brunches, you want to go on your holidays, you want to do this and you want to do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but what I'm saying is if you start earlier, then I think you can have a greater life in your 30s. And I think working hard in your 20s is very important. And I worked very hard in my 20s. And now in my 30s, even if I make loads of mistakes, what I worked for in my 20s has built some form of foundation to allow the flexibility to take more risks in my 30s, even with a family.
Yeah.
You know, again, not saying you can't do it in your 30s, but I think the sooner you start, you just go for it. You just go. Sooner the better. I think so.
Do you think so? Like on your Instagram, there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of, you know, like taking the piss, stuff like that. How important is it that you don't take yourself too seriously?
Oh, bro, you shouldn't. I know. I'm even wondering why the hell you're interviewing me. You know, you know, like I think. Look, I think it's very important that you respect yourself enough to not look like a fool in front of others, right? And what I mean by that is you have to listen. There's a lot of people out there that don't want you to win, right? There's a lot of people out there that don't want you to be successful. Not only that, there's a lot of people out there that have their own problems from a young age, where even if they deep down don't want you not to be successful, their own shit gets in the way of how they act towards you, right? And I think it's very important to show that to individuals that you are a respectable person, but at the same time, you like to have a laugh, you like to take the piss, you like to just chill, you know. And like me and my friends, when we go somewhere, we pretty much like anyone that comes and hangs out with us, like we test them straight away, like we put it on them straight away. Instantly, fucking hell, you really wearing those trainers, mate? You know, we see their reaction. You see their reaction. You see what they're like, and it says a lot about them, you know. And that kind of sets the tone to see if they can hang around with us, or if we want to hang around with them. You know, and I think it's so important not to take yourself seriously, because honestly, it, it's not that deep. You know, nothing's not that deep. You know. But again, when it comes to work time, we work hard. When it comes to, and when you do work hard, you can be like that even more, because you're confident in yourself, because you've done the reps, you've worked hard, you've woke up earlier, you've worked harder, you've took more risks, and you deserve to be more, I don't give a fuck mentality, you know, because you've gone through the hard stuff, you know. So I think it's really important to have a good time, and to not take yourself too seriously, you know. I think it's the best. I love hanging out with my mates and just talking shit. It's the best.
Yeah. How do you deal with negativity online, like shit posters, stuff like that?
I mean, a lot of people say, like, don't reply to negative comments, because it's just showing that they're winning, right? You know, like, they're getting you to buy it, and this, you're giving them. But like, I think it depends on who and how you do it. If someone says something to me, like, I'm replying from a banner perspective. I'm still sleeping all right at night, you know. Like someone messaged me. Someone commented something on my charity thing that I did in Turkey. There was an earthquake in Turkey, and I raised over £110,000 here in the UK, and we built gyms in schools and created projects to help kids that went through the trauma of the earthquake, where they lost family, friends, now living with, in essence, strangers. You know, we did a lot of things for them, and I gave constant updates on what was happening with that money, because I didn't want to give it to just a random charity, be like, hey, I raised this much, see you later. You don't know where the fuck the money goes. Instead, I used my own team that I pay and made a project out of it, and waited 2 years before I spent 110 grand. Right? Did it properly, did a YouTube video, got a website with all the data of where it got spent. And someone said, can't believe you still haven't given us an update on blah, blah, blah. It was a fake account. I just replied back going, oh, sorry, Sam. I didn't want to bother you in your mum's basement. You know, I apologize. I didn't ring you personally. And I just had some fun with it. I'm not going to cry over that, you know? And I just cracked on, and I laughed about it, and then just cracked on, and that was it. But again, I think it's important not to bite at everything. But I think it's also important, if you are constantly getting the same negative comments, I think it is important to stop and go, am I being like that? Am I being like that? Maybe I am, you know, maybe I should tone this down. Maybe I should take another look at that. Maybe my fucking ego has gone through the roof. Maybe I am being a dick. I think it's important to ask that question to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that gives, as long as you don't give power to someone else, you know, as long as you're in control and you can be in control of those emotions, I think that's the most important. I think that's the most important thing with negative comments. And I think we should constantly ask ourselves those questions, you know, to be a better human. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is they're helping me, because comments on a YouTube video are telling the algorithm that people are engaging with it, and I'm probably going to get more views because of it. So I just kind of,
mate, 100%.
let it happen.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the time, back when we started, like, a lot of the fitness videos, like, was calling out a lot of bullshit, you know? The comments were fucking crazy. Like, we went, like, me and a few of the boys, like, we got so viral from all that stuff, you know? People were like, the amount of comments. I've had threats. I've had people try talking shit about my family, my mom and dad, you know? Like, I've had all of that. But it is what it is. That if you're putting your face out there, yeah, you got to be ready for that. Got to be ready for that. You can't be crying about it after. Yeah. If you're crying about it, yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, I was speaking to, another guest I had on, we were speaking about it, and she said that she just doesn't look at any comments. And I think the problem with doing that is that you're not going to see the positive comments. And if I'm going to read some, like, the comments at the moment anyway, because it's very noticeable if someone comments on the video. But if I know that there's more positive comments than negative, then I know I'm doing something right. And there's never any commonality with any negative comments, so I know that they've not got anything there. They're commenting on a a minute long short from a 15-minute video, so like they're not engaging with the content properly. So
yeah, but also, like, if you look at any time there is a negative comment, there could be 200 positive comments, and then you focus on the one negative comment.
Yeah.
It's like 0.5%.
Yeah.
You know? And the truth is, negativity does get more attention in the world, which is why,
sure.
I mean, fucking hell, look at Trump.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, he utilizes the shit out of that, you know? So, like, the media, that's all they do, you know? So, like, you just gotta not get sucked into that, man. You just gotta do your absolute best to be bulletproof, you know? If you're bulletproof mentally, you're untouchable.
Yeah.
You're untouchable.
I think as well, like, the common thing I find is with negative comments, you click on their profile, 0 followers, 0 subscribers, blank picture on the profile. So I'm not gonna spend time or mental energy thinking about someone's opinion when that's what they're doing. They're just an observer.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably your mate that you said that you're going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Told your mate you're going to start a podcast. I won't say it to your face, we will do that. Do you know what I mean? That happens as well, you know? Like, people are like that. People are like that, unfortunately, you know? But can't put your energy to that. It's got to move forward, look at the positive vibes, wake up and keep going.
Yeah. Switching lanes, what does your morning routine look like?
My morning routine, at the minute, man, I'm locked in. My morning routine back in the day would be waking up, going for a walk, clearing my head, writing my to-do list, coming down and going hard on my laptop, doing what I need to do, then going training, content, all of that stuff. That has changed after having a son. Yeah. Now, I'm always I always wake up early. I love to wake up early. I love being up when no one else is up. It gives me makes me feel good. I feel like I'm ahead, you know? And I've got less distractions, which really allows me to work way better. I'm way better when I've got no distractions. So at the minute now, I'm up every day at 5. I'm up every day at 5 a.m. I make myself a coffee. I've got like my to-do list that I tick off. I write my to-do list while I'm having a coffee. And then I'm on the laptop by 5:15. And then I am diving deep into my laptop for the next 2.5 hours, doing every bit of admin that I need to do solid until my son wakes up. I spend a little bit of time with my son. My missus, she's still on leave from work. And then I will do my best to get everything out of the way by 1 or 2 p.m. Then I'll go train. And then again, depending with my missus' routine, I'll let her go train or whatever she needs to do or balance it out. If my parents are here to help, even better. Now I'll make sure I'll squeeze in some time for content. I am in bed by 8:30.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in bed by 8:30. I'm in bed by 8:30 and I fucking love it. I'm not gonna go. Honest to God, honest to God, you couldn't pay me to go out now.
No.
You couldn't pay me to go out. I feel like at this minute in my 30s, I feel like it's do or die. You need to keep your head locked in, Diren, for the next till you're 40. Just lock in. You had fun in your 20s. You did everything. You promised yourself you were going to do stuff for yourself in your 20s. I was selfish when I needed to be, you know, even though it was a little bit late, a few things got in the way. I promised myself a few things, and over the last 6-7 years, I did that. And now I've got a family, and it's all about them, and I fucking love it. I love being a provider. I love it. Honestly, I love it. I think it's the best purpose you can ever have is a project that will never finish, and that's your kids, you know. So, and obviously I eat in between my routine,
of course,
but I do my absolute best to be able to work as hard as I can with the time that I have, as well as do my best for my for my body as well as my mind, and as well as do my best to spend like valuable time with my missus as well, you know, because now you're trying to balance everything. It's harder. It gets harder as you get older, you know.
Yeah. What lessons have you learned since becoming a dad?
Um, you know, the things where I said I need to enjoy the simple things. I'm I really am held accountable to enjoy them, because when you got like a 8 month 8 month old in your hands, your full focus needs to be there,
Yeah.
you know, and you really do enjoy. You really do learn how to be in the moment very well when you've got that pressure of making sure they stay alive, you know.
Yeah.
So that's one thing for sure. The second thing is, um, I you know, it's really weird. It's a feeling. I feel like I've always been kind of switched on from a life perspective of, um, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that to be able to live a good life, have some level of freedom, financially, time-wise, physically, mentally, all of that stuff. And the biggest lesson I would say as a dad is honestly just appreciating those small things.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's still so soon for me. It's still so
Yeah.
soon for me, you know? And honestly, I've had kids around me my whole life. On my dad's side alone, I've got 73 first cousins. So like,
Jesus.
so all the small stuff where people like, oh, I've learned this, I've learned that. It's kind of always been in my life. So like, which is why I'm so family orientated. Like, I would be a kid and my aunt would give a baby on my lap and I'll sit there with a baby as a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those things were already kind of there. Those core things, you know. I'll go out and I'll have a drink or whatnot, but like, well, I started drinking when I was like 25, to be honest. So I didn't really have that habit. I don't have any bad habits where like I don't crave to go out. I don't crave to go have a beer. I more so just want to go train. So if any of the things where like where people turn around and go, I learned how, I don't know, going out too much or doing this is actually pointless compared to the time I spend with my family or compared to the time I will put into my business and myself or whatever. I kind of already knew those things in my head, you know what I mean? And talking about all this now, like the main thing I would say I've learned, apart from being like really present at that moment because you're kind of forced to, is there's no better feeling than true love, man, honestly. And that connection you have with your own bloodline is mad. It is unbelievable. Like, it is unbelievable. It's like taking mushrooms all the time. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what I've learned, you know. It's just confirmed there's no better feeling, really. You know, you can't really compare it to anything else. I don't think. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say that. I hope that was a good enough answer. I don't know. Might be a bit
Beautiful
more.
answer, man. No.
Good.
What advice do you have for someone who's, say, essentially starting at the start? Let's say overweight, struggling, they even struggle to get out of bed, make their bed. Just really starting from the starting line. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I think for individuals, for that, first of all, they need to be very proud of themselves for starting. It really is the hardest moment. It's the hardest bit. The hardest bit for you is actually starting. You've done the hardest part, right? And if you tell yourself you've done the hardest part initially, right, it's going to make taking action so much easier, because although there'll be days where people feel lack of motivation, the minute they take action, your motivation is going to spike naturally. And the hardest motivation to spike is the first initial starting point. You've done the hardest part. Don't do the hardest part again. And if you keep this up, you're going to live longer. You're going to live better. You're going to have more fun in your life. You're going to be more active. You're going to be able to spend more time with your loved ones. You know, there's no better reason to be fit and healthy other than the fact of literally living longer with your loved ones, you know? And like, who doesn't want to look good on a summer holiday?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like, you put all that effort into your body. You want to show it off. Go do so. You deserve it. And if you have started and you've done the hardest thing already, that is in the plan for you and you can achieve that. So do not stop, and don't let any of your friends that seriously want to bring you down talk you out of shit. And the only reason I say that is because I've coached so many women and still do coach so many women where they get such pressure from friends where it's like, oh, why are you not drinking? Oh, why are you doing that? And unfortunately, we do live in a society where even our close ones want to bring us down sometimes. And I think it's really important to stay locked in to do what's best for you, your family, your body, and your mind, is what I would say.
I've got a selfish question next. So this is mainly for me. I'm sure there'll be other people in this situation.
Yeah.
I've been trying to put on muscle for years.
Yeah.
Here's my situation is, in my day job, I'm on my feet all day. I'm walking to work and back. So I've scrapped any cardio and just count that as cardio.
Yeah.
And I do 3 resistance workouts, push-pull legs a week. I try to eat about a gram of protein for every pound of body weight. And I still remain the same. Like, I've never struggled with weight, but never putting on muscle. What I need to do, is it more food?
You're probably training structure and training intensity.
Okay.
Most likely. Majority of the time, when men don't put on muscle, how old are you?
30, just turned 30.
Okay, quick, sweet. You'll have no issue putting on muscle if you're actually training hard enough. And when I mean hard enough, I'm not talking about volume. I'm talking about intensity. I'm talking about pushing heavier and being consistent with a program that you're following. So when you are following a program, you're constantly focusing on the growth of intensity over the, say, next 6 to 12 weeks or whatever. Once you see development in intensity, you will start to see your body change, and then you will create different training methods so your body starts adapting to those. But one of the biggest mistakes that I see with a lot of people in your situation is that there actually isn't. You got to go into the gym with, when you're doing weight training, you really have to go in, and when you're moving, like, really move with intent. Is that a word? Intent? You really have to move with a goal. And what I mean by that is, like, say if you're doing a bench press, some people jump on a bench press or a dumbbell chest press or whatever, they just move up and down, up and down, up and down. You need to slow it down. You need to really focus on actually using the muscle that you're using to push that weight. You need to take control of the tempo and focus on the load over the next few months. And there is no doubt you will build muscle. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But you have to be following a proper structure, for sure. And having a coach. I think having a coach, still to this day, is just, everyone should have a coach all the time, honestly. We always need someone to push us. We always do. We always do. We just perform better. When you have a coach, you perform better. Facts. Simple as that. Like, it's always the case. It is always the case.
No, noted.
Yeah.
So I want to end with some quick fire questions just to kind of bring it into land. So what's one supplement that you couldn't get rid of if you could only have one?
I personally love electrolytes and creatine.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the most overrated productivity habit?
Ice baths.
Okay. What? Is that just because you hate them?
No, I don't hate them. I think they're fucking great, but
Yeah, yeah,
you can still do anything without them. You know.
yeah.
I mean, I
So what's one?
had a crazy ice bath in Dubai with Imad Gadzi. You know Imad Gadzi?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Took me and James Smith to a Russian banya. Nearly died in an ice bath till my body shut. That was not an ice bath. That was an experience. That was fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And I literally had a psychedelic trip in an ice bath. It was wild. It was wild, bruv.
How
Yeah.
long were you in there?
I couldn't move my body. So everything was shutting down. I was there for a good 7 minutes. It was very cold. And that was the goal for them. But we had like 4 people looking after you. It was a very like professional set. It wasn't your standard ice bath situation.
Right.
On that note as well, supplements as well. Newtonic. Oh, my man. Good man.
Right. What's your favorite quote? Do you have one?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no because, not because I'm trying to be difficult. There are many quotes that I love.
No.
Many, right? I just don't like people getting so dialed in to quotes and not living by them.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I'll get so many people, oh, there's this quote once. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Have you fucking done it though?
Yeah, I get it.
You told me 20 books, 20 quotes, yet you're still doing the same thing. That's why I don't like that culture. So many quotes that I love, right? Loads from athletes, loads from amazing leaders. And like, I just feel like there's so much in a person's life to just lock into one quote. That could change if there was one. I just blew my fucking mind. But the best stuff that I hear, honestly, not quotes, but they're usually stories from like a random village guy that I chat to having a cup of tea in Turkey, or a random Indonesian that I chat to in Bali that's a farmer. These people are so like, they're so present in life that they live and create those quotes that we're always chasing in our 9-to-5 Western way of living. You know what I mean? So like, it's hard for me to give one, man. I'm sorry.
No, I get it. I mean, I think people overcomplicate things, especially with quotes. People overcomplicate it. And usually, simplest answer is always the right one. I always find that it's usually just, you need to move your body, you need to get enough sleep, do something meaningful. It's just simple. It's not complicated.
It's not at all. Not at all.
What purchase of £100 or less is your favorite? That's Tim Ferriss' question before I set up next.
Oh, really? £100 or less.
Yeah.
Best purchase. £100 or less. Best purchase. Honestly, it's just a 1-to-1 training.
Okay, good answer.
Honestly, it's just like either with like my striking coach, doing some pad works, hitting the pads, just feeling unbelievable after. It's the best feeling. It's the best feeling. Like, it's the best feeling. You can't beat that feeling, you know? Or a massage.
Nice, yeah. Agreed with her.
With a happy ending. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm glad you said joking. Anyway. Snip. Right, we'll end with this question from Actor Studio as well. I've nicked this one. So, if God exists, what do you want them to say when you get to the pearly gates?
You can come in.
Nice.
You did all right. You can come in.
Nice. Yeah. Good answer.
That would be nice.
Diren, thank you so much for taking the time. Like you said like halfway through, like you're not even sure why I have you on the podcast. I know it's a joke, but I mean, that was full of lessons. So,
oh, good, amazing.
I appreciate it, man.
No, good, man. I like to achieve. I like to think I can achieve stuff, and I like to think I'm hardworking. but I also that thing I don't like to take myself too seriously enough where I'm respectable. By the end of the day, I think we're all human, and we're, you know, I don't like idolizing someone in my head in general, whether it's Michael Jordan or whatever. For me, it's I try not to do that. I talk to people on the same level as me all the time, and that's always helps me meet loads of amazing people. Those big people that you're talking about, that a lot of people idolize, when you talk to them normal, you learn so much. You learn so much, you know, which is why I can have that. But I hope people enjoy this podcast, the ones that listen.
I'm sure they will. Where can people go to stay up to date with what you're doing? Where can people go for coaching, stuff like that?
If you just search Diren Kartal on Instagram, jump on, watch what you need to, and you'll be in the funnel someday.
Nice. Well done. Thank you so much for taking the time. That was an absolute pleasure.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, man.